Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this regular meeting for September 14th, 2023 to order. If you can please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the state flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Thank you. Moving on to the next item of the agenda is going to be approval of the regular meeting agenda.
So moved. A second?
So I have a motion by Commissioner Edwards, I have a second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, we're gonna move into a public hearing. This is on ordinance O-23-07. This is authorizing the issuance of and sale of Grant County, New Mexico general obligation bonds. Can I have the motion to go into a public hearing?
So moved. Second?
So I have a motion by Commissioner Medina. I have a second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, we're in a public hearing now. For this, if anybody would like to talk about it or testify or come up to the podium, I do have to swear you in, so is there anybody that's going to speak on this?
Mr. Chairman, Mark Maldow, Financial Budget of the County.
Okay. If you can raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir, I do.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, thank you for having me this morning. It's beautiful here in town. It was nice to drive in. Before you today is the action to move forward on the issuance of the first tranche of the general obligation bonds that voters gave approval to in November. Total amount approved was $8 million. This first tranche would be $2 million to ensure that as we structure this over 15 or 16 years, we can ensure that the property tax rate does not increase. So we'll maintain that rate and still be able to issue this $2 million, and then next year we'll come back for another $2 million or so, depending on where this commission and the county manager has plans prepared for, and I know the county manager has plenty of plans or projects ready to go. Aside from those comments, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we just came out of bond rating communications, and the Moody's Investor Service, which rated this transaction and also rated the county itself, affirmed your current Moody's A2 rating and eliminated what was a negative outlook on the bond rating, which is very positive. So we're very pleased coming out of that. Congratulations to your county manager for taking you through that conversation, and to you for the way you all have managed the county. I can tell you, starting into those conversations, we were getting indications that the rating agencies were looking to potentially downgrade the county. So I'm very pleased with the county manager and your all's management in terms of how that came together. So congratulations to you and congratulations to the county manager. Aside from the issuance, I know that you had a lot of conversation on Tuesday. I'll end my comments there and happy to answer any questions you have for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valenzuela. Any questions, Commissioners?
No.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else that would like to testify? Okay. Thank you. Could I have a motion, before we go into the action item, if I could have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second?
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Medina, second by Commissioner Brown to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr.
Well,
Chairman, we need a roll call vote.
okay, to close it? To the action
For
item?
the action item.
Action item. Okay, so where was I? We closed it, right? Okay, so public hearing is closed. Moving on to item C is consideration of Grant County Ordinance O-23-07.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number O-23-07 as presented.
I'll second.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion? No discussion? Okay.
Too early.
Too early? Okay, Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
How would you like it worded?
One individual?
Okay, but how would you like it worded?
Just to approve public ordinance O-20-23-07 as presented.
Chairman Ponce, Commissioner Edwards, Commissioner Medina, and Commissioner Brown. Are you all aware and in approval of the approval of ordinance 0-23-07? Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Chairman Ponce,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
The ordinance passes, thank you. So moving on to next item of the agenda is gonna be feels like a Monday. Could be public input. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Any individual who would like to discuss an item in more depth may request to be placed on a future agenda. Request forms are in the county manager's office. When you come up, if you can please state your name for the record. Do we have anyone for public speaking? Come on up, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Kurt Albershart. I'm a telecommunications engineer with 3 decades of experience working in broadband design, deployment, and infrastructure building. And I have a comment on, I just received notice of this last night, so I'm kind of catching up here, but I have a couple of comments on the proposal for broadband subsidies that is part of this meeting's agenda. When I saw it, I thought that fiber was going to the home in Pinos Altos. I think that would be a great idea, although I don't know how you make the business case work, which it turns out that's not what's being proposed. So fiber to the home in Fierro, I think, again, a fabulous idea. Whether $5,681 per house as a subsidy is a good decision is up to the commission, but technically that's an excellent proposal. The proposal to deliver services to Pinos Altos involves putting a tower at the VFD location to deliver services to an area that has a large number of trees in it. And the problems in Pinos Altos for broadband providers using wireless technology from existing locations on the upper mountain and the lower mountain to include W&M communications is really the trees. And there are lower frequencies that can penetrate those trees, but they're actually going to work better from up above than they are below. Now someone, I don't know if it's W&M, it might be another carrier, has mostly constructed a 5G base station on the upper mountain and the lower portion of the Crown Castle Tower, which has service that will cover Pinos Altos. I don't know what speeds, I don't know what prices, but that infrastructure is already in place and presumably paid for. So I'm just not sure as an engineer that putting a tower in the volunteer fire department is going to buy much. My perspective would be that that's a worse location than the upper mountain to reach most of the houses in Pinos Altos. So I'm not sure what the sense is on that one. Anyway, it may be a good proposal. I'd need to see a lot more details, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else for public speaking? Yes, sir.
I wasn't going to speak, but I really want to thank some people. I want to take this time. My name is Steve Mitchell. and I live out in Buckhorn. And recently I found out that the state had awarded the school out there some money towards repairing their track and field. And in meeting with different people, Mr. Hawkins and others, they've all expressed interest in what to do. I met with the principal, Mrs. Garnett, and she shared how she would like to see that field repaired. It's been a long time. It's really a bad field. Mr. Hawkins shared that he would like to see some bleachers. So I had a chance to meet with some school board members, Mr. Cohen and Mike McMullen, as well as had the chance to speak with Ty and with Mr. Billings. And out at the fairgrounds, we have some bleachers that sit there that aren't in use during most of the year. And so I made the suggestion, is it possible that the school and the county could work together to take those bleachers that are over by the FFA area, put them on a trailer, bring them over to the school, because there's a gate that the school shares with the fairgrounds. And so we would be able to bring them over, use them during the spring and summer when the school needs them, and then bring them back to the fairgrounds for the fall and winter when the fair needs them. I've gotten a lot of positive input from it, and people who have expressed that they would support it. So I don't know what the next step is to try to get the school and the county to work out the details, but it benefits our whole community out there without incurring any cost. The school's already expressed that they have a welding club that they would love to take on the project of making the trailer so that they can bring the bleachers over and share them. So I'm hoping that we can make this work. But again, I want to thank all the people that were involved. And so, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else for public input? Okay, thank you. Moving on to presentations, this is going to be under presentations, item D, employee recognition. County manager, who's going to?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we have two individuals we would like to recognize, both of them with 10 years of service with the county. I will yield the floor to our Assessor, Misty Trujillo, to present a 10-year service award to Denisha Lucero.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have a few things to say about Denisha Lucero. She's in the assessor's office. Okay, I would like to acknowledge one of my employees, Denisha Lucero, for the 10 years of service with the county. As you know, excuse me, Denisha first started in the county manager's office back in 2013. Worked in the department for 3 years and then moved over to the assessor's office. I can confidently tell you that she is a huge asset to our team. I am proud to say that I was part of the team that hired Denisha into the assessor's office. I respect Denisha not only as an employee, but as a mom and as a friend. Denisha is the manufactured home appraiser, which plays a big role in the assessor's office. I apologize. And the whole county as a whole. This is not an easy position, and we ask a lot of her in this role. She works with the title companies, MBD, banks, all 4 municipalities, the treasurer's office, the solid waste department, assists the public, and much more. As I mentioned, her position is very demanding. As a new assessor, my biggest priority is to help the property owner as much as possible, even if it means going above your assigned job duties. Denisha excels in this field. She is definitely one that will give 110%. She will solve any problem and go above and beyond to help out the property owners. This is one thing that I appreciate more than anything from her. If you have any questions pertaining to a manufactured home, she is the one that you would want to talk to. Denisha is a New Mexico certified appraiser, which is a huge accomplishment in itself. She completed her final course in 2022. This was well deserved and says a lot about her work ethic. I just want Denisha to know that we all appreciate her in the assessor's office, and hopefully she sticks with us until retirement. Again, congratulations.
Thank you, congratulations.
Patrick doesn't want a photo bomb.
The sheriff is.
The sheriff doesn't mind.
Congratulations again.
Our next years of service presentation is for Patsy Graziano. She is a driver with Corey Caminos. Kim, if you would come up and say a few words about Patsy and present her with her service award, please.
Patsy has been with us through 10
Can you
often
put the
challenging. Can you
the
not hear me?
mic down
Sorry.
a little lower so we can hear you? There you go.
Better?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Patsy's been with us through 10 always interesting, often challenging times. She has worked front lines during the pandemic, driving without hesitation, covered driver shortages. She has worked, driven buses with failing AC, all without complaint. Patsy can always be counted on to show up with 30 minutes notice to cover shift, always walking through the door with a smile and a good morning. She's an invaluable member of our team, so thank you, Patsy, for all that you do, and here's to another 10.
Thank you, congratulations, Patsy. Okay, still under presentations, item E, to be a Grant County Soil and Water Conservation District, noxious weeds resolution, Mr. Bass.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commission. My name is Ty Bays, and I am a board member of the Grant Soil and Water Conservation District. In our August meeting, we passed a resolution that we provided to you for your consideration. We passed this resolution somewhat out of frustration in that we're seeking some help and support, cooperation from the New Mexico Department of Transportation. There's noxious weeds in Grant County and across the United States, and our board has a grant and the capabilities to control these, and we have in the past worked with NMDOT to control these noxious weeds. Of late, we seem to be having some miscommunication, and maybe it's because of some new faces, new people and new roles at NMDOT, but our whole intent is to bring this to the forefront, as these noxious weeds are really a concern. You know, there's places up in Montana that I understand that they have taken off the tax rolls because they have been taken over by noxious weeds. We have some pretty bad ones here in Grant County. We have Dalmatian toadflax, Russian star thistle, and a multitude of others that we know where they're at. We've got them identified. We have in the past worked with NMDOT, and it's important to work with them because as they move equipment, mowing and whatnot, you know, that's how these weeds get spread. Recently, we had a patch that resurfaced out on Highway 180 near the intersection of the bypass road, and we thought we had that taken care of, but it sprouted back up this year. We were working with DOT to take care of that patch, and invariably they went and mowed that. And so our concern is that that seed is now spread wherever they're mowing with that same machine. To make it clear, this is not just a farmer rancher issue. I mean, these noxious weeds are also noxious to our wildlife. They can take over our native flora and just devastate our wildlife habitat as well. So with that, we are not asking for money from the commission. We are asking you to pass this resolution or a similar one with the same intent. Our intent is to also present this to our New Mexico Association of Conservation District Board, which is our state organization for conservation districts. And we may seek some legislation from that, possibly to kind of do a line item to ensure that New Mexico Department of Transportation is working with the soil and water conservation districts or on their own to control these noxious weeds. I think unless we all work together in this cooperatively, we're not going to be able to control these. So with that, we're asking for you, for the commission, to consider passing the same resolution. And I'll stand for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. Do we have any questions, commissioners?
I don't have a question, but I think this is maybe the only time to mention that I've drafted an alternative. Mr. Bays' resolution, I think, was designed for the district. So I've drafted one that reflects our perspective as the county. I'll be glad to provide you a draft of that. It's not on the agenda for consideration today, so there's plenty of time for us to think about it. Should be in all of your email boxes. But overall, I totally support the intent of this. Intergovernmental cooperation, I can't see anything wrong with that, and controlling noxious weeds is a high value. So I'm in support in general, and we just got to work out the details.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I would echo that. I'm in support of that. I did briefly look at Mr. Brown's draft, and I think it just restates it and actually strengthens the county's support for the concern of the soil and water district. So, yeah, I'm in favor of that.
Okay, you're gonna give Mr. Bates a
Yes,
copy of that?
I can email that to you, Ty.
Thank you.
And this will be put on a agenda for next meeting, which will be a special meeting right at the end of the month.
Yes, we can put it on the special meeting at the end of the month or your regular meeting in October, whatever your preference is. I just thought it would be best to have the conversation first, and then if there were any modifications or proposed resolutions from you, we could have time to work on that, and then you vote on it.
Okay, and this is a New Mexico-wide issue also, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman. You know, in parts of our state, down in Luna County, there's some really big issues. I mean, you can see the African rue along the highway right away, especially leaving from Deming, heading over to Hatch. And again, we mow that, those seeds get in that mower, and wherever that mower goes, it's planting more seeds. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Can you do me a favor? Can you send this to Joy with New Mexico Counties with Commissioner Brown's version, and also what the the Soil and Water Conservation District put together? And maybe we can discuss that at the end of the month there also with New Mexico Counties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. Good. Okay. Moving on to, next item is gonna be proclamations under item F, consideration of Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control, domestic violence and intimate partner violence can have lifelong consequences that harm the core of the human spirit and jeopardize the future well-being of our communities. And whereas in Grant County, adults and children continue to be victims of domestic violence each year, El Refugio served a total of 447 women, men, and children's victims for the period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. 126 offenders were ordered into domestic violence offender treatment program. 3,563 emergency shelter nights were provided, 10,230 meals were served, and 41 individuals transitioned into permanent housing. On average, 20 people per minute are victims of physical violence by an intimate partner in the United States. This equates to more than 10 million women, men, children for 1 year. Whereas, although progress has been made toward preventing domestic violence and providing support to survivors and their families, important work remains to be done in Domestic Violence Awareness Month by being supportive, being a strong voice against domestic violence, and sending a no-tolerance message to the community, and most importantly, educating our legislators. And whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month marks a time to mourn those who have lost their lives at the hands of someone they love, a time to celebrate those who have survived, and a time to connect and form strong partnerships with El Refugio Incorporated and other community leaders. And whereas Grant County has a moral obligation to help prevent domestic violence, address its brutal and destructive effects by making domestic violence a local priority. And whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month marks a time to mourn someone they loved, a time to celebrate those who have survived, and a time to connect and form strong partnerships. Now, therefore, we hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In the County of Grant, New Mexico, we call upon citizens, law enforcement, community organizations, health officials, schools, and our legal systems to speak out against domestic violence and actively support local efforts in Grant County to assist survivors to be safe and live their lives free from violence, to hold abusers and systems accountable, and return our community to ways of respect, honor, love, and compassion.
Thank you, Crystal. Commissioner, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the proclamation as presented.
Second.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Edwards, I have a second by Commissioner Medina. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Ms. Shetta, would you like to say anything and come up here and?
And here again, one more year. So this last fiscal year, we all recognize that there were no deaths in our county, which, thank you to law enforcement that they intervened immediately, to our vital community agencies that also intervene and also send us a lot of referrals. The shelter has been very busy. I mean, we had like maybe 15, 16 kids at one time, and they were there for a long time. So I always focus, I want to focus on the children because our legislators did not, domestic violence didn't get an increase in any money for domestic violence statewide. And I understand education is really important. I back that up 100%. But when you want to be a voice for this community, talk to our legislators about this. We were cut like $86,000 for a rural community for one emergency shelter, domestic violence organization in the county. That's a lot of money, you know. And children, our children are growing up, and they're looking at the behavior that their own parents have. We're going to have a lot of issues. We have them already in children that reside in the shelter sometimes. Their behavior is already abusive. And these are the kids that fall through the gaps of the educational system because they're the troublemakers or they're just not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, they live in a war zone. So when they go to school, they're going to be the ones that fall through the gap and are seen as the troubled kids. So as a voice, I ask you to please talk to our legislators about domestic violence. That's not something people like to talk about, but it's a reality. And it happens in our backyard, it happens with our neighbors, it'll happen in your family. 1 out of 4 girls is a stat that will encounter domestic violence. So please be our voice, be our hands, extend your hands. We're a small organization. We're honored to have our sheriff on our board. Patrick Kahn used to be on our board. And that these people make a difference because these people, our community sees them and they listen to what needs to be said when it comes to domestic violence. I just want to say thank you again. Thank you, commissioners, for inviting us here and allowing us to be here. And thank you all for the work you do. Thank you, Sheriff. So it's hard work.
Well, thank you, and, you know, I know on this, I speak for all the commissioners. We really appreciate everything that you do for our community in Grant County and all the work that you put into this. Also that all the other entities that also take part in this and provide some of these services and help. So I really thank you for everything that you do. If you want to come up and we'll present you with
Sure.
this. Okay, moving on to our next proclamation. It's going to be consideration of Grant County Fair Days proclamation.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Whereas the Grant County Fair has been held at the same location in Cliff, New Mexico for 74 straight years and continue to thrive as a popular annual community event. And whereas the Grant County Fair promotes our community and its resources and has been a showplace for the arts and talents of local residents of all ages and abilities. And whereas countless people have benefited from the involvement of youth groups such as 4-H and Future Farmers of America in the Grant County Fair. And whereas the Grant County Fair will be held from September 20th through the 24th, 2023. Whereas all Grant County residents and visitors are encouraged to attend and participate in this year's fair activities. And now, therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim September 20th through the 24th, 2023 to be declared as Grant County Fair Days.
Thank you. Commissioner, do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second that?
So I have a motion by Commissioner Medina, second by Commissioner Edwards. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Bays, would you like to say anything?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, appreciate this gesture and that was a great proclamation. This year, we will be celebrating our 75th fair here in Grant County. So I've brought a few of our youth here, and at least one of our board members showed up, and this kind of a celebration for us. 75 years ago, a group of individuals decided to hold a fair out in Cliff. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Hooker, former county commissioner, and some others started that fair. We're totally a volunteer board. Nobody makes any money. This fair is all about our youth. It's all about agriculture, and we certainly appreciate this proclamation. I do want to say we are doing some construction out there, and I want to thank you, the commission, our county manager, and a special thanks goes out to Mr. Lockett and his crew. We're getting some new offices out there. We kind of partnered up and each entity bought sea container, and we're getting a whole new office out there that they should be finishing up today. I gotta say, Mr. Lockett and his crew, they take a lot of pride in their work and work hard, and we certainly do appreciate that. Thank you again, and we would like to invite all of you out to the fair. I think there's something out there for everybody. It's a celebration of youth, and if I can be just a slight boastful, last year we had 98 exhibitors. This year we're going to have 96. That may be the biggest youth activity in Grant County that I know of. But we affect a lot of youth, and that's our whole mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bays, and I just want to, when it comes to kids, it just, young adults, like to take my hat off to them for all the hard work that they put into their animals. I know as soon as the fair's over with, they start working on it again, and all the arts and everything that's displayed on there. I think this is great for our young kids, so I really appreciate everything that you guys do. Us adults, well, we can get through whatever, but those kids, giving them something to do is great, so thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm?
Quick comment.
Go ahead.
Mr. Bays, the video that was put out, the promotional video is amazing.
Yeah.
Whoever did that work,
That was your extension agent, Ms.
that
Swan.
was a reflection of that. That was really impressive. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ready?
We're ready. Everybody with the fair come up.
Got two more to go up and down. That's right.
Thanks. That's good. So next item is going to be consideration of Treasurer Roselia Lucy Benavides Month Proclamation. I'm going to turn this over to our County Treasurer, Mr. Khan.
Mr. Chair, I have before me the County of Grant Proclamation honors the memory of Roselia Rusi V. Benavides, and further, whereas Roselia Rusi V. Benavides was born on September 18, 1944, to Heraclio Vega and Petra Terrazas Vega, and was the second youngest in a family of 11 children, and whereas Roselia met the love of her life, Ubaldo Benavides Jr., and were married for 54 wonderful years and had 5 beautiful children who they raised here in Grant County. And whereas Roselia graduated from Silver High School in 1964 and attended Western New Mexico University and graduated with an accounting degree. And whereas Roselia served as Grant County Treasurer and Chief Deputy Treasurer since 1975 until her retirement of 30 years, retiring in 2004. And whereas Roselia in 2018 took on an acting role in a film called A Boy Called Sailboat, which was filmed in Silver City, New Mexico. And whereas Roselia was an active participant in her community, including being a parishioner with the St. Vincent Catholic Church and being an active member of the 4-H Club for over 45 years. And whereas Roselia had a love for music, singing, and spending time with her husband and family out in the Gila wilderness. And whereas Rucelia had a big heart and promoted family unity and cared for her community. She passed down the values of teaching, sharing, and supporting family from generation to generation. And whereas Treasurer Patrick Kahn honors the memory and legacy, Treasurer Rusi Benavides embarked to the County of Grant as County Treasurer, Chief Deputy Treasurer for 30 years, 1975 to 2004. Now, therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of September 2023 to be declared and in honor of Treasurer Rucelia Rusi V. Benavides Month and recognition of years of service to Grant County, and condolences be extended to the family of Rucelia Benavides as an expressional of heartfelt sympathy. In witness whereof, we have unto set our hands and seal of the County of Grant to be affixed in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico, this 14th day of September 2023.
Okay, Commissioners, I'll make a motion to approve Grant County proclamation in honor of the memory of Roselia Rusi V. Benavides.
Second.
So I have a second by Commissioner Medina. Discussion. You know, this lady was a great lady. I remember being 14, 15 years old. I started working through the different programs and got to see her there at the treasurer's office at the old courthouse, and also going to school with you know, her kids and stuff like that. But she was a great lady, and you know, alone being an elected official for 30 years, whether it's in the treasurer capacity or the chief deputy, that tells you a lot about what type of person she was. And you know, I want to, you know, tell her, you know, already happy birthday, and the family, thank you for sharing your mother with us for those 30 years. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Chris,
Any further discussion?
Sorry, I do have a couple of words.
Okay.
It was
Let me
an
get
hon-
through this and then
Okay,
we can go through that.
thank you.
Any further discussion, Commissioners? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, Treasurer, go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize, Chairman.
Oh, that's fine.
It was a great honor for me to present this, and thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to bring this before you. Here we do have family of Ms. Benavides, and we have two of her staff members. We do have Treasurer Deborah Madrid, which also served as Grant County Treasurer and Chief Deputy, and then we have Melissa Padilla Sandoval also here. It was just great speaking to the family of Rusi. I always wondered about the vault that's in the treasurer's office, and Lourdes did come to me and tell me a little story about that. When the county was moving here to the Grant County Administration Building, Rusi did not want to leave the treasurer's office without her vault. So that was great, a great little story, and it goes with the vault that's in the treasurer's office. So I thought that was a really great story. And just with all the memories, talking to Charlotte and all the family. So if you guys all want to come up and we can take a picture.
Thank you.
Also, my Chief Deputy and I will be presenting the proclamation.
moving on to item I under proclamations, consideration of Buddy Walk Day proclamation, and will be accepted by Ms. Vicky Galindo. Crystal?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Whereas the Buddy Walk was developed by the National Down Syndrome Society in 1995 to bring together a wide range of concerned individuals reaching out to family, friends, teachers, coworkers, professionals, and leaders in the community to promote awareness and inclusion for the people with Down syndrome and to raise funds for education, research, and advocacy programs. And whereas the Buddy Walk is from coast to coast and abroad, hundreds of thousands of people walk in the Buddy Walk each year. The goal of the Buddy Walk is to promote understanding and acceptance of people with Down syndrome. And whereas the ARC of New Mexico's mission is to improve the quality of life for individuals with disabilities of all ages by advocating for equal opportunities and choices in where and how they learn, live, work, play, and socialize. The ARC of New Mexico promotes self-determination, healthy families, effective support systems, and partnerships. And whereas the ARC's Family Support Network of Silver City and Knights of Columbus are families working and planning together to host the annual Buddy Walk to celebrate individuals with Down syndrome during the month of September, on Saturday, September 23rd, 2023 at Golf Park in Silver City, New Mexico. Now, therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim September 23rd, 2023 to be declared as Buddy Walk Day and urges all citizens to participate in the annual celebration of our community.
Thank you. Commissioner, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second the motion?
So I have a motion by Commissioner Medina, second by Commissioner Brown. And any discussion? You know, what I just want to say about this is great that this is done. And, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, we can further educate the public on Down syndrome, and that, you know, that there's money, more money raised for research and to advocate for these programs, because I think this is great. This is awesome. So thank you guys. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
A little different. We're gonna do public awareness, and one of the reasons why, there's two kinds of buddy walks. The kind where you raise funds and the kind where it's awareness only. This year is the first time we're doing awareness only, because Mayor Ken Ladner called me up and said, hey, when's your buddy walk? I go, we're not gonna have one. He goes, what? Well, guess what? He made sure we're gonna have one. And I am just totally thankful for this, because we love to celebrate our kids with the extra chromosome. And it's this, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. And it's gonna be from 10 to 11:30 is the registration, but all day in the park, we're gonna have, the Knights of Columbus is gonna have a car show, and they're gonna have a cornhole tournament. And we combined events
because the park was already taken. So we just combined everything, and I want to let you know that a lot of my friends and people that I know have been calling me from out of town. They're going to make the trek to town of Silver City for the Buddy Walk. Everybody loves to come to Silver City. They really do. People from Las Cruces, TRC, Albuquerque, Arizona. We're going to get a lot of people. And so we just like to celebrate, and I think the town of Silver City is on the map for Buddy Walks. There's only 3 in the whole state. And if you look on the website, we're on there. So it's a free event. And we just love to, the kids love to dance. And Raul Turrieta is gonna be our MC as usual. He gets the crowd going, you know, he loves to get the kids dancing and everything. I call them kids, but a lot of them are adults. But we're gonna try and spoil them that day. Anyway, you're welcome to come, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Galindo. Okay, moving on to the next item of our agenda is going to be Gila Regional Medical Center report. Mr. Patrick.
I suppose I apologize if my report's a little drier than the previous agenda items, but we do have a lot of good stuff going on at the hospital. Our CEO, Margie, is not here today. There's a very good reason for that. She's helping interview CEO candidates for her permanent successor. Our new board identified 3 really great candidates who are going to be here today through next Friday, interviewing with the board, meeting all the hospital employees, and getting a feel for the community. The board narrowed the field to these 3, so that they're the board selections, and we're looking forward to the interactions and hopefully a selection before month end. We'll keep you posted on that. Primary among our board's criteria were ties to New Mexico and experience as a CEO at a critical access hospital, so we're excited that we've been able to bring in a bunch of candidates who fit that criteria for them. On the Chief Nursing Officer front, Jessica Workman will begin on September 25th. We're excited to have her. We also managed to fill a lab director permanent position that we've been working on for a while. So Gila Regional continues to work on our people, and we'll keep you posted on the CEO search. On the operations front, our emergency department provider group is assuming coverage on October 1st, and so providers are working through the credentialing process. There may have been some confusion at some point, about what this transition means, but for patients, it doesn't really mean a lot. It's administrative in terms of the provider group. The emergency department is going to continue to function exactly as it has. We continue to wait for Train to provide a scope of work for our OR air handler replacement project that's been approved by the federal government, and we look forward to following up with news of that project beginning. And then on the L&D front, we've talked about the Women's Service Center construction project for quite some time. The architects have reviewed the, final variance approved plans with us, and those were submitted to the Department of Health on August 31st. Once those are approved, we'll move forward with the construction, and they're already identifying subcontractors. So we look forward to more progress on that this calendar year. We also have a grant for nurse call system replacement. The nurse call system is important equipment through the hospital to make sure that patients and staff can get the help they need. And we hope to submit the final plans to the state this week for approval to proceed this year with that project. We're also working on Meditech Expanse, which is our electronic health record that drives virtually everything we do in the hospital. The team's done a great job. We're on schedule with what we call integrated testing, and we continue to be on track for go live in November. We're also renovating what we call Pod 3 in the hospital, which is space that hasn't been used since we went to critical access designation. And that's going to be used for an orthopedic clinic that's going to be on the hospital grounds to provide good access to imaging and other services that help when you need orthopedic care. We'll be taking down a portion of the exterior courtyard fence, enlarging an entrance door, and improving a sidewalk, as well as renovating a lounge. Most of that work's being done in-house, so it's, something that we're happy to be able to do largely with the resources that we have on hand. But if you do see some, minor construction or renovations going on at the hospital, you know what that is. On the service front, we'd like to highlight the great work of our hospital auxiliary. We hosted an appreciation luncheon for the auxiliary members yesterday. They're a small but mighty group of people who've weathered the pandemic and come out really strong. They staff not only the main entrance, but also the cancer center, the surgery center, and the gift shop. If you got a welcoming smile from somebody in a pink or a blue vest at the hospital, that's the auxiliary. We'd like to especially highlight a couple of statistics. The auxiliary donated 7,635 hours last year to the hospital. That's a tremendous amount. We value that at a minimum of $91,620 that the hospital didn't have to spend on staff to do what the auxiliary does for us because of their volunteer work. And if you actually look at the active roster only and you add up all of their lifetime hours, they crossed 100,000 hours donated. And the value of the lifetime hours donated by only the active auxiliary members is over $1.2 million. Thank you is not enough, but it's the words that we have. On the finance side, we're doing our jobs. We posted a modest operating surplus of $15,000, but that's on budget, especially for July. And we increased our days of cash on hand to 142, so the hospital is on budget, solvent, and doing what it needs to do to be around for the long haul. On the growth front, we have made an offer to a pediatrician. We've been out in the community and heard everybody. We agree that there's a great need for a pediatrician in town. And so, when one came our way, we didn't really hesitate to jump on that. We've had good feedback from him regarding his wish to be here. It seems that we're his first choice, but we don't officially have a letter yet. And so as we work through that with our board and with him, we'll keep you posted. We do plan to submit a request to utilize funds from Senate Bill 7 to improve pediatric care in the community, not necessarily just at the hospital, but also to support other people who need whether hospital resources, hospital space, or some other form of aid that we can provide through that grant. And we'll continue to research that this month and apply for the October deadline for those funds. We also started a radiation oncologist named Dr. Arsenault, and we're excited to have his services. He has begun as of August in our cancer center. Dr. Hayostek, who filled in at a time of really tremendous need, is transitioning back to semi-retirement, but will remain current and will fill in for Dr. Arsenault when he is unavailable, whether on vacation or otherwise, so that we make sure that that radiation oncology service is always available to the community. We haven't received any further information or confirmation about the Senate appropriations bill that we're looking forward to using towards our new MRI. We're, semi-anxiously awaiting that outcome, as is everybody else. But we're optimistic. And as a last note, we'd like to call some attention to the great work being done by the GRMC Foundation. They're really back up and running again. They're working with us. They've funded a number of projects. And their big event for this year will be a celebration of Gila Regional's 40th anniversary in our current hospital building. Because the 40th anniversary is the Ruby anniversary, that event is being titled Rubies and Scrubs. The hospital workers will be wearing scrubs. We encourage everybody else to dress casually. That event is Friday, October 27th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Murray Hotel. Tickets are on sale both at the two Edward Jones offices on Rosedale and Hudson or at the auxiliary gift shop in the hospital. The tickets are $25, and I believe there will be I don't know whether it's a silent auction or a traditional one, but there will be, an opportunity to bid on goodies to support the foundation's work at the event. We hope to see you there. And I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have any questions? Commissioner Brown?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Banks. First of all, could you repeat the date of the foundation event?
Yeah, it's Friday the 27th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Murray Hotel.
Thank you for that. And you mentioned interviews for permanent CEO. You mentioned the new CNO coming on board. What's happening with the CFO?
As I transition to a regional role, I'm going to keep my hand in the pot and make sure that Gila Regional is extremely well taken care of. We're looking for an interim CFO to come in for a short time with the expectation that the CEO search is going to be successful and to defer to them and allow them to, drive the selection of their permanent CFO.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Commissioner Edwards?
Thank you, Mr. Banks. I have a couple of comments. One is, there is actually an official value of a volunteer hour, and in the state of New Mexico, that figure is $26.95, making the 7,635 hours of auxiliary services worth $205,763.25.
If I had a pen on me, I would correct that right now. Thank you.
Yes. The other thing I want to say is, I just want to acknowledge your incredible service to GRMC. We are deeply appreciative of what you have done at GRMC to contribute to the financial health of the hospital, and wish you the best of luck on the next step, which is obviously a big step up for you. So great job and congratulations.
Thanks.
Agreed.
Anything else, Commissioners? Thank you. Moving on to elected official reports. Madam Clerk, do you have a report?
I know.
Okay. Madam Assessor, do you have a report?
Just have a couple things. First of all, I want to thank my Chief Deputy, Raul Durieta, for working on the 2023 tax rates that he provided to you guys last meeting. I was on vacation, so I just wanted to give him a big thank you for that. The next big project in the assessor's office, starting next week, we'll be working on the 2023 tax rollover to the treasurer's office. Treasurer Mr. Khan and myself have been working together, seeing the timely frame on when we can send everything over to give him more time to do his checks. So our plan is hopefully the first week of October, I will get everything rolled over to him. And that's entering all the numbers from DFA that they've provided us, all of our numbers, making sure all of our checks are correct. Okay, so that's our big project. That's gonna take a couple weeks. And the next thing that I have to say, we are gonna be losing 2 employees. I just heard yesterday that another employee is leaving us, so I'm gonna be losing Albert Castro and Jeremiah Paul. One is going to El Paso, one is going to Las Cruces. So unfortunately, we're gonna be having to put another posted position out, so if you know anybody interested, send them our way. Other than that, I stand for questions.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner? Thank you. Going on to our Treasurer, Mr. Khan.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Ponce, and Commissioners. Before I get into reading my report, I do have an email from Dr. Maurice Wheel, and she's pleasing one of my employees in the Treasurer's office, and she wanted me to read this over to you all. She puts, "Good morning, Mr. Khan. I hope you are well and enjoyed your summer. I wish to share high praises about Miss Vangie Gonzalez in your office. We had some conflicts and issuing involving several county offices last month, and thank goodness Ms. Gonzalez was able to coordinate and work with us to resolve the issues in a most professional and expedient manner. I interacted with numerous employees in your and other offices, and by far, Ms. Gonzalez not only provided the ultimate solution to our problem, but was most courteous and pleasant of all. I hope you can recognize her dedication and professionalism. Be well and stay safe. Thank you, Dr. Marie C. Will. Moving on, attached, earlier beginning of the meeting, I gave you the tax maintenance report. And on the report, total taxes collected for the month of August for August 2022 is $56,235.58. So far for the 2022, $12,453,093.47 has been collected of the 2022 tax roll, which left the county at a collection percentage of 93.70. That's for 22 alone. For the total 2022 tax roll, $837,469.53 remain uncollected. The total percentage collected for the total 10-year collection as of August 31st, 2022 is 95.74%, of which a total of $116,483,195.95 of taxes were collected. That leaves a total uncollected balance of taxes of $5,185,134.86. Moving on to the status of the Treasurer's Office. So far, the county will have a total of 21 properties that will be on the property tax auction. The property tax division has set the date of September the 28th, and the auction is starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. If any interested community member wants to be making any bids, they need to come and register before 10 o'clock, which I believe Property Tax Division will be here at 8 o'clock in the morning to start registering interested bidders. For any questions regarding the property tax auction, please contact the Treasurer's Office for additional information. I also want to let you know that the Treasurer's Office and Solid Waste Department will be closed from 8 to 1 that day, and our assistance in helping with the property tax auction. I do also want to appreciate working with Assessor Misty Trujillo and her staff on preparing for the 2023 tax roll. It's a huge process, and it looks like we're getting it done. I did approach Misty and I asked her, you know, can we get this done the first week, because October is going to just be very hectic for me. And I'm glad I could work with her in a way where she can understand and get that done. I know it's a time crunch, but we're going to get that done. I also want to thank IT Director Adam Baca and his staff on the GovPro conversion. It looks like we're finally and hopefully going to get that done. It's long awaited for, and we will once again have be in compliant on our credit card collection, and I mean, we are in dire need of this. So everything that Tyler needed to update, it was a must and needed to be updated. So I want to thank him and his team for, it's just been a long awaiting, and lots of conversations with Tyler and pushing them and to getting us on their priority list. I also want to thank you for the opportunity to honor Treasurer Rusi Benavides with the proclamation in her honor. And I also want to wish Crystal good luck and her departure. I do want to thank her for everything that she's done for me in the office, and no matter what I needed, she got it done for me. So I know she's not here, she's probably hiding, but she'll probably replay this and hear that, but thank you, Crystal. And I also want to thank my staff for all their hard work. tax time is coming and we're gonna once again be busy. So I want to thank all my staff again for their continued support and all their hard work. I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioners? Thank you. Moving on to our next report, Sheriff Villanueva.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I want to present to you my report for the month of August 2023. We had a total calls of service for the month of 2,170, which self-initiated were 861. We were dispatched to 527 calls and did create 131 incident reports. Some of the cases where we did investigate 17 domestic violence calls. We had 19 alarm calls. The staff deputies had 307 traffic stops for the month. We did have 53 welfare checks, 45 animal complaints, and we did investigate 19 motor vehicle crashes. Cases of interest, on August 8, 2023, at approximately 9:11 p.m., deputies were dispatched to the area of 314 Anza Street in Hurley in regards to a report being made of criminal sexual contact of a minor. Upon arrival, deputies were met by CYFD. When they approached the door and knocked, mother of the minor answered the door with her consent, they were able to come inside the home and speak with her child. During the investigation, it was later found that when the child was about 6 years of age, he was touched in his genital area by his sister, who was intoxicated at the time. A report was conducted and CYFD has an ongoing investigation. On August 9, 2023, at approximately 9:10 p.m., deputies were dispatched to the intersection of Highway 35 and McKnight Road in Mimbres in regards to a battery. Upon the arrival of the deputies, they met with a female who had red marks on her back and shoulder area. They asked her what happened. She stated she was going to the mailbox at the intersection of Highway 35 and McKnight Road, where she was met by her ex-boyfriend in his vehicle. At that time, she started walking back to her residence when he grabbed her purse while he was driving away. With him driving off with her purse on her shoulder, she fell and was dragged approximately 30 yards until the strap of her purse broke. When she fell, she sustained red marks onto her shoulder, causing her hitting the tire of the vehicle. After the strap broke off, her ex-boyfriend turned the vehicle around and continued to insult her by telling her obscenities. They had been together for about 2 years. Charges were filed on the ex-boyfriend for aggravated battery against a household member and criminal damage to property. On August 27th of 2023 at approximately 8:40 p.m., deputies were dispatched to the area of car wash in Santa Clara in regards to a shots fired. Upon deputies' arrival, they noticed several people at the Brown Derby parking lot, stating the suspect left in a yellow Jeep down Racetrack Road. At that time, deputies turned around and went down Encino Street. While deputies approached the intersection of Piñon and Hutchinson, deputies observed a group of people yelling to them, "He's been shot. My brother is dying." Deputies observed a green four-door vehicle with a male subject slumped over in the front driver's seat with multiple gunshot wounds and appeared to have been shot in his vehicle with a child in the back seat. Paramedics were called out to tend to victims' injuries and transported to Gila Regional Medical Center for treatment that was unsuccessful. Suspect had fled the scene of the incident and an attempt to locate was given for the suspect and suspect's vehicle. It was later known the suspect had turned himself in and is being charged with an open count of murder. He is currently being held at the Grant County Detention Center awaiting his trial. General information, we are currently, Operation Stone Garden is currently active. We continue to concentrate resources in the Hachira area, Highway 90 of Grant County. We are still seeing a rise on suspected foreign nationals in the Silver City District, along with human smuggling. In regards to our our vehicle fleet, I'm happy to announce that we have actually put out 5 new vehicles out on the fleet, which has really helped out with some of the issues we're having with high mileage vehicles. Currently, I have 2 new vehicles in El Paso getting outfitted. So as soon as those get outfitted, we'll put those back out also out on the street. So I'm happy to hear that we're doing that. Personnel, I did have 5 individuals that that graduated from the actually 4 that graduated from the academy that went through our 12-week FTO program. They have finally been released on their own, and they've been out assigned to shifts and covering shift coverage. So currently, we have reverted back to 12-hour shifts in patrol so that I can ensure that we have coverage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the county. It's going to be a challenge, but you know, I take that to heart that we need to provide the coverage to our citizens. No matter what struggles we have, I commit to providing that coverage to our community. So I'm thankful that we're able to do that. I do want to announce that I do have 3 individuals that are going through background right now, and it's 3 individuals that are certified, that are ex-county deputies that are going to hopefully come back if they pass their backgrounds. So I'm pleased to announce that. So hopefully we'll have that done here pretty quick and get them back out on the streets. So it won't take much to train them and put them back out. In regards to some training that the staff has, that I have provided to the staff, Corporal Brandon Reese and Corporal Cesar Torres have attended and completed an active shooter threat training course. The course is a dynamic, hands-on training program designed to equip law enforcement officers with the knowledge and skills required to successfully end an active threat event. This training will prepare students to employ active shooter threat tactics through dynamic, interactive drills and scenario-based training. This intensive and challenging program covers a variety of tactical subjects for responding officers, including a single officer response tactic, limited penetration tactics, tactical medical training, multiple officer response, and link procedures, response to an explosive hazard, and post-shooting considerations. Candidates were evaluated on their ability to perform skills and tactics in the role of responding officer during a practical exercise. So that was a really good training that they were able to attend, and I look to utilize that to better educate the rest of the staff. And I'm going to have these 2 individuals go over what they learned with the other deputies so that we're all on the same page and be able to respond to these. God willing, we never have any, but if we do, we'll be prepared for it. Corporal Detective Orozco attended the New Mexico Safety Summit sponsored by the Public Safety Psychology Group. This summit had a variety of courses, including but not limited to, from mental illness to officers having a healthy lifestyle through eating and exercise to other various trainings. Corporal Jade Benavides, Deputy Shelby Meade, and Deputy Ordonez attended the 2023 DARE conference. This conference is required to keep up with the certification for those who are DARE instructors and being able to continue to teach in our schools. Special recognition, I would like to express my thanks to HR and their staff for putting together, setting up, and holding 2 successful career days for our agency. And I would like to thank J&J Signs for decaling 8 of our vehicles with our sheriff logo. And as always, I would like to thank all my staff for their hard work and all that they do. I stand for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, sir. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for August 8th, 2023 work session, August 10th, 2023 regular meeting, August 22nd special meeting, and August 30th special meeting 2023.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve all 4 sets of minutes.
Second the motion.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to financial reports, it's gonna be consideration of September 6th, 2023 expenditure report.
Mr. Chair, I move approval as presented.
Second.
So a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Medina. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to new business, it's gonna be consideration of ARPA allocation to W&M Communications in the amount of $1 million for broadband wireless improvements in Fierro and Pinos Altos.
Mr. Chair, I would like to ask that we table this item. I don't think I've had my questions answered adequately, and I think more were raised this morning during public input. In particular, I still haven't gotten ARPA funding list that I was going to find indispensable, I think, in deciding our priorities. And I'm concerned that at least the 500,000 to PA is not even needed. So that's my request, that we table this item.
Okay, so is that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that as a motion. Didn't know if there were others who were going to comment on that, but I move we table this item. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do I have a second to table the item?
So, I'm gonna make a comment, before I do that. So I arrived this morning with the intention of, making a motion that we approve this item. I've, had a lot of key conversations over the last couple of days about this, and, am interested in, moving forward with this item, but, in the, I think with the questions that Mr. Albershart brought up today, so I had an email from somebody that wanted to talk about the idea of doing dish services to Fierro, and I talked to Adam about that this morning. I'm really clear that that is completely not appropriate for the county to be considering. I don't know enough about the tower issue that Mr. Albershart brought up this morning, and so with that in mind, I believe I will second the motion to table.
Okay, so I have a motion to table the item by Commissioner Brown, a second by Commissioner Edwards. Do we have any further discussion? You know, I think to me, if, the only discussion I have is, you know, I think this is an opportunity. I understand the questions that Commissioner Billings has brought up, but I think this is, to me, in my opinion, it's an opportunity to help our citizens, whether it's in Fierro or PA. I know there's some questions that are gonna be brought up, but sometimes I feel that it doesn't matter what we decide up here, questions are always gonna be brought up till it gets, put in place. And I do understand what, you know, Commissioner Brown not having the full information for this. But I would like to see this eventually, happen, so that's pretty much what I have to say is, you know, I think, you know, and Commissioner Edwards has brought up, you know, at the end of the day, this, you know, broadband, computers, all that's a way of life nowadays. I think that's how everything's going towards, and for me, I understand the tabling, but I mean, to me, I think that I would support this, and for Fierro and for PA, because eventually this is gonna probably cost us more down the road, and eventually we're gonna have to do something. I don't know what other grants are out there, what other money's gonna come in. You know, I'm assuming, I mean, I understand W&M Communications, but, you know, I don't know if I'm sure everybody else had the opportunity to submit for these grants and other people that provide these services, so, you know, I do respect the tabling and respect that, you know, more information and more questions need to be answered, so I do respect that portion of it. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of tabling it?
Aye.
Are we gonna set a date on when we're gonna bring this back?
Probably goes on the next agenda, doesn't it, since it's being tabled?
Yeah, we have to ask to reschedule.
Can we do a comment? I have to ask comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I just got some concerns with this across the board.
Wait a minute, am I in the middle of I'm in the middle of the vote, right? Well, go ahead, make your comments and
So,
I'll take
just the
it.
concerns that I have, you know, we have people in need of services. You're right, Chairman. We have people in need of services, and one of the other issues that we have is that the amount of work that's invested by our staff into these projects. We had the opportunity to speak on these, you know, and we didn't, and now they're before us again. I support this project. It needs to happen. I disagree with the tabling. I think we should move forward. That's all I got at this point.
I guess I should respond to that. I agree, it's unfortunate that I don't think any of us understood the technical details here. The interesting thing now is, whereas before I was concerned about Fierro, now I actually think maybe that one makes sense. It's the spending on PA that makes no sense. I do not think what's being proposed will improve service at all in Pinos Altos. And I think that requires us to think harder. If that's really how we want to spend 500,000, that we could put somewhere to good use. At least in the short term, I'm convinced that what's being proposed can't help. We're not talking about bringing fiber to houses. We're talking about providing an antenna that will provide line of sight service that even trees can interrupt. I have friends who use line of sight service now, and they have to bounce it off of a neighbor's house so it can get to them. I don't see how this is going to add any capacity in PA, since that's being used right now. So that's my big concern. I agree, it's regretful that I've only figured that out now.
I see your point. The gentleman that came and spoke in public input had some good points, but I would imagine that W&M, their engineers somewhere sat down and thought about that. I mean, did it get past them? Did they not pay attention? Or is it a focus on the contract? What is it? How did that get past them? I'm just very curious.
Yeah, I don't have enough information in a public forum to answer that concern, but I do think that there's an answer. I do think there's a reason they're seeking the money.
Has W&M actually come and talked to us about this directly?
Mr. Hernandez had a conversation with W&M about what could be done at P&M whenever the commissioner had a request for residents of PA, and so we started looking at that whenever we put this proposal in front of you. So yes, Mr. Hernandez has had a conversation with W&M about what they could do to enhance the services to PA.
I have a whole list of things that I want to talk about on this that I was going to save until commissioner comments. And the fact that there is the possibility, I guess the place that I am really, really stuck on this is that, we have a responsibility as a commission to do due diligence on this kind of stuff. I also think that we have our job is to hire a county manager that we trust and who does a lot of the due diligence for us, and in turn hires and works with staff whose job it is to do the due diligence that they bring to us and recommend to us. And so, I think in this circumstance, I left here on Tuesday being confident that the county manager and the county planning director and the IT director had done their due diligence, and therefore I could trust them on this, and that has not changed for me. But I am also having a hard time with the fact, so as I said a minute ago, I came here this morning ready to approve this because I think the idea of putting Dish in Fierro it's completely undoable. It's just not even reasonable. We need to provide these services to the public, but if the best is already in PA, then I'd like to know what it is that W&M can do that's better. So, once again, I'm pretty stuck on this.
If we want to split the proposal and approve half and not the other half, I'm open to that. I don't know if that's legal. I don't know if it's something we can do.
Yeah, we can do that. I'm sitting here thinking because, we can change the motion and go ahead and just include PA and leave out, include Fierro and leave out PA if that's the wishes of the commissioners. The struggles that I'm having with, I understand, and each commissioner makes very good points. I understand that. The thing with PA, it's gonna cost millions of dollars because of the rock to take any fiber optics up that way to include them. The best solution for PA is what we're proposing. Now, the gentleman, from what I heard earlier, speaking, didn't have answers to a lot of this. He basically posed questions without answers. That was my opinion of that piece. So as commissioners, I understand what it is, whether it's ARPA or anything, it's still taxpayers' money. And we do have to do our due diligence for that. It's at the present time, I have confidence in sort of what Commissioner Edwards said, with, you know, our county staff looking at some of this stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that as a commission, we need to really look at how we're gonna get broadband services to PA. Whether, you know, and it brings up controversial things, you know, do we put a tower that's higher? Can we get it up at Jack's Peak? Can we do things like that? I don't know. I mean, what I would be willing to is going ahead and voting for Fierro, as long as this commission does its due diligence to try to provide services to PA with further discussion. And if my mind's changed that it's not feasible and it doesn't work, then yeah, I have to take a step back and look at it logically and intelligently. So, I mean, I can go that other way, no problem with Fierro and doing that, and then moving on till we get more information for PA. But I think we owe it to our citizens in PA. You know, a lot of this discussion has been, you know, the demographics of Fierro, who's gonna use it, who's not gonna use it, how many people do you have? You know, well, that's the same thing in PA, but at the end of the day, we have to try to figure out something to get to them also, so. But I'm good if we change the motion and go Fierro for now and continue down this road for PA.
So, yeah, I would be good with that as well, because what I would really like to hear from WNM, and I'm assuming that this is the case, because I don't believe that either our staff or any organization that is asking the commission for funds is, you know, there's no way that I'm gonna automatically think that there isn't some reason why they're asking. But I would like to know that whatever they're doing is better than what is there now. That they have a plan for PA that is gonna be better than what's there now, so that people don't have to bounce off of people's houses and things like that. So I would be really in favor of approving the $500,000 for Fierro now, and setting a time limit. I would like us to set a time limit so that we, you know, we make a decision as soon as we can on the PA thing. And so what I'd like to propose is that we vote on the Fierro portion today, and that we say that this is gonna be back on the agenda in the October meeting, and that we invite WNM to come and tell us what is happening with you know, what they're proposing in PA.
Is there a possibility to get W&M here for the special meeting?
I can reach out to them and see what their
I mean,
schedule
if we
is.
get to the special meeting, that'll give us a couple weeks before the regular meeting
Right.
to think and look and research. And
Yep, I think that's a great idea, that we hear from them at the special meeting. The reason I articulated it the way I did is because I am not going to be present for the special meeting, so. But,
So there wouldn't be a vote that meeting?
Right.
That would be October.
just be a.
That sounds perfect to me.
yeah, and I can look at the
That sounds great.
video of the meeting.
Sure.
To
can
get
put
the
it-
information from WNM.
We can put it under presentation, sort of like we did the Noxious
Yep.
meetings, and go from there.
I
So you
will
wanna
withdraw my
undo all
motion.
that? So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve $500,000 for the Fierro portion of the proposal, and that we table the Pinos Altos portion of the proposal until the October, anybody want to help me with the date?
Regular meeting.
Until the October 12th regular meeting.
A second.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Edwards, and a second by Commissioner Medina. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you.
So, moving on to item P, consideration of FY 2024 asset deletion transfer request number 1.
I'll move that we approve as presented.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Brown. Is that right, 2024? Is it? Okay.
Because we're in fiscal year 2024.
Since July 1.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking
There's
yearly,
this-
it's fiscal year,
Right,
never
and-
mind.
And they run on a federal fiscal year.
Yeah,
Oh.
throw something at me. Anyway, do I have a motion?
Oh, wait a minute. We're talking about P still, right?
We're talking about consideration of FY 2024 asset
Yeah.
deletion transfer
So that's not
request.
federal, that's state. Yeah.
Okay.
Did I make I
Yes.
thought I made a motion to approve
Yes,
that, yeah.
we had a motion and a second.
I seconded
Commissioner
it.
Brown. Any discussion?
Okay, any discussion other than what I just said? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Now, moving on to consideration of Corre Camino's FY 2024 budget.
I move approval of the FY '24 federal '24 budget as proposed.
Second?
So I have a motion by Commissioner Brown, I have a second by Commissioner Medina. Any discussion? You know, Shirley, yesterday I heard something, and I should have asked it yesterday, that there was like, I believe, $63,000 that was left in the budget, from the last budget. Does that carry over to them, at least?
I can't answer that. I don't think that it does. I think we have to spend what's allocated.
Okay,
It reverts, but I'll get the answer for you.
okay.
Well, she would have until the end of this month to spend it, correct?
You know, I understand that just spending it to spend it's not, prudent, but at the end of the day, $63,000 left in the budget's a little big there, but.
It's big.
Any further discussion, commissioners? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to R, consideration of New Mexico Human Services Department Safety Net Care Pool Payment Program Certification for local government entities participating first quarter of SFY 24.
I'll move that we approve as presented.
Second?
So I have a motion by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Moving on to agreements. Under S, consideration of agreement number A-23-40. And this is a law enforcement recruitment retention grant agreement between the state and State of New Mexico Department of Finance Administration and our local government, Grant County, in the amount of $187,500.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
So I have a motion by Commissioner Medina, second by Commissioner Edwards. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
motion carries. Okay, consideration of agreement number A-23-41. It's appropriation agreement from the New Mexico Department of Finance for the 2023 federal matching fund in the amount of $1,140,888.
I'll move that we approve as presented.
Second?
So a motion by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item U, consideration of agreement A-23-42. It's gonna be the appropriation agreement from New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration for the Black Fire Response and Restoration Fund in the amount of $1 million.
Mr. Chair, move approval of agreement A-23-42 as presented.
Second.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Medina. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item V, consideration of agreement A-23-43. And I'm stopping there.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
So I have a motion by Commissioner Medina, second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to W, and let me see here.
Mr. Chair, maybe we can do 44, 45, 46 all at the same time?
Thinking the
That's
same
what I
thing.
was thinking. So we have consideration of agreement A-23-44, A-2345, and A-2346. This all has with the plant design, construction, furnishing, equipment improvement for the Grant County Fair, amount of $75,000. 45 is same thing, except for construction person and social security system for the sheriff's office in the amount of 500,000. And then the last one is for the senior Gila Center in the amount of 325,000.
I'll move that we approve all three as presented.
And I'll second.
So a motion by Commissioner Edwards to approve all three, a second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion?
Thanks to our legislators.
Yes, thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion's carried. Moving on to resolutions, resolution under Z, resolution, consideration of resolution R-23-59, a resolution of support and financial commitment for Cody Caminos Transport Services.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
I have a motion by Commissioner Medina, second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to AA, consideration of resolution R-23-60. It's budget adjustment request amending FY 2024 approved budget.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the bar as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Edwards. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Under BB, consideration of a resolution number R-23-61, certificate of property tax rate and mills for tax year 2023.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of resolution R-2361.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Medina. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. If I can have a motion to recess as the Grant County Board of Commissioners and convene as the Grant County Health Claims Board.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Medina. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so as a Health Claims Care Board, we have CC, consideration of July 2023 indigent health claims for recommended approval in the amount of $1,509.54.
Move approval.
Second.
So a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Edwards. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
If I can have a motion to adjourn as a Health Care Claims Board and reconvene as Grant County Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Medina. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to Commissioner reports. Commissioner Edwards.
So like I said a few minutes ago, there's a lot to unpack in this conversation that we've been having about this $1 million worth of ARPA money. First, I want to thank Mr. Billings for bringing his questions to the commission. There's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of discussion on that, and on this topic, and that's the way things are supposed to work. It gives us an opportunity, I think, to consider every possibility. And so, to me, that is the cornerstone of due diligence. I also want to acknowledge that it must be really awful to be county staff and sit out there wherever they are, whether it's in this room or in their offices, and listen to us pick apart their work. And so I want to acknowledge that. And I also want to say that I touched on this a moment ago, and I'm going to say it again, hopefully a little better than I did a minute ago. We asked Charlene Webb to come back and serve as our county manager because I believe because we trust her to carry out our wishes in providing for the health and welfare and safety of Grant County residents. And I think she does an amazing job. I have had lots of questions about this. I've talked to Charlene, I've talked to Randy, I've talked to Adam. Our staff is really pretty amazing. They're doing a great job, and I think it's really important to note that the fact that we have a lot of questions up here is not personal. It is our job to ask a lot of questions, and sometimes we might get a little carried away. Sometimes when a constituent brings something to us, we need more clarification. I do see that as part of our responsibility is spending public money appropriately. But I also just, I think it's important to reiterate that we have an amazing staff and that they have done a great job on this. There hasn't been a question that I've had so far when they haven't said, we've already anticipated that. So I deeply appreciate that. I also want to just mention that the amount that we're being asked to consider, you know, I've heard a lot of comment from folks about, you know, how much money it is, et cetera, et cetera. But I just want to point out that it's actually less than 1% of the total amount of grant funding that has been acquired to do this project. My hat's off to WNM Communications for acquiring nearly $200 million in grants to bring broadband access to Grant County. That is really amazing. And one of the things that I really believe very strongly in is that we should do our part to support that. The other comment that I want to make about that whole money piece specifically is parsing out the cost of these services by user, I think, leads us down a very dangerous path. And the example that I was thinking about this morning was parsing out ADA funds. And if we look at the amount of money that we spend on being ADA compliant and we parse that out per user, I'm sure that it is absurdly, I mean, if you looked at that on paper, it would just be a shocking amount. And yet, that is part of why we appreciate our society, because we are committed to making sure that the good things about our world are accessible to everyone. And it isn't any different with broadband. I feel really strongly that I don't want to live in a world where we're parsing out cost per person when we're talking about something as fundamental as a utility. And while we are not right now calling this a utility, given the circumstances of what is happening with internet and how our world is going to be in the future, this actually should be a public utility. I would never advocate for Grant County being in the utility business, but access to adequate internet capacity determines how people's lives run. And we cannot be in a place where we deny that to some people. We can't go there. I feel really strongly about that. The last thing I want to address is I had a constituent suggest that a more reasonable use of our money would be to put dish service in Fierro. And that spurred me to do some research on you know, what that would cost. This idea that it would be less to do this. And there are many, many factors involved in this. And I'd just like to start with the fact that I don't think any of us want the county to be in the utility business. We have seen from what's happening in Hurley that it's not good for us to be in the utility business. The second piece is, you know, one of the things that I really, really appreciate about what WNM Communications is proposing is this idea that that they're going to provide 75 megabytes of services, and with the affordable connectivity program makes the net cost to users $5 a month for that much service. The ACP funding is capped at $30 per user. And so if we put dish service up in Fierro, for one thing, we have to negotiate. We are not the internet service provider. We would have to still negotiate with Hughes or someone like that to send a signal to those dishes. It's between $150 and $180 to have service from Hughes. And that means that with the $30 affordable connectivity program, that would make the net cost of that service somewhere between $120 and $150 a month. That is simply not doable for many people in our community. Probably, I would hazard a guess, the majority of people in this community can't afford to be spending $120 to $150 a month on internet service. So while I appreciate the suggestions from the public, and I really do, I also think that as part of our due diligence, we have looked at this pretty thoroughly, and I want to just take my hat off to Adam, because when I went to his office this morning to discuss this with him, it was very clear to me that he had thought about it. And he understood what that undertaking was going to be like. And that kind of takes me back to what I was saying earlier about, I really do believe our county staff is doing an amazing job at their due diligence. The last thing I want to say is that the nearly $200 million of funds that WNM acquired in order to do this project is all taxpayer dollars, ultimately. It's federal funding that they got, and this money that we're being asked to allocate to this is also federal funding. And quite frankly, the money that we're using to do these kinds of projects, I believe personally, it's the same. We couldn't provide for the health, well-being, and safety of county residents without federal tax dollars. And I believe that this commission takes that very seriously, and I deeply appreciate how much work goes into making sure that we make these decisions on the behalf of our community, both as commissioners, as elected officials, and our county staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, this is commissioner comments, isn't it? I have some more.
Go ahead.
But not related to that. So I wanted to say a couple other things. One is I was really struck when Rachel Sierra said today that she was celebrating the fact that there were no deaths from domestic violence. Think about that for just a minute. I am waiting for the day when she stands up there and says, we didn't have any people in the shelter this year. Next, I want to just say that, one of my favorite parts about being a commissioner is doing the proclamations. I think it is really great when we are up here to celebrate the amazing things that are happening in our community. And lastly, I want to say that, Crystal, we deeply appreciate the service that you have provided to the commission. We're going to miss you. Now I'm done.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Medina.
Yeah, just a couple items. I want to first and foremost thank the commissioner for supporting the FIO project. That was, it sits in my district, and I heard from a lot of people, and it really, I think it means a lot to them. They're going to get those services. I really appreciate that. County Manager Webb, the black fire is back on the radar. Can we set something up with the Forest Service? We discussed at the work session. Let's try to do a joint effort. Let's try to get some help to those people out there, please. The color run is this weekend at Baton Park. The CPC is putting it on. It's a color run, starts at 10 a.m. It's a pretty big event. They got vendors. They got all kinds of little projects for kids. It's gonna be a cool event. It's first annual, so it's gonna be something that's gonna be interesting. And then the last thing is I do want to thank the county staff. You made a comment about the staff works and puts projects together. We tear them down. You're right, we do. And you look over there and look at their faces, and you wonder what they're thinking. So I do appreciate everything they do for us. They put everything in, and I put a great value of trust and appreciation in everything they do. The county manager, the Randy, Veronica, all the staff of INDOT. I mean, the ones that we talk to on a regular really appreciate their efforts. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Medina. Commissioner Brown?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm starting to get paranoid that anybody thinks I'm dissing our staff, and I am not. When I was staff for our school, and I had to report monthly to our governing council, there was nothing I appreciated more than sharp questions indicating deep thought about what I was proposing. And I guess that's why I went into this not even thinking that staff would be worried about my questions. And so hopefully I'm right in all that. I want us to spend taxpayer money well. I want us to know what we're approving. I try to read all the documents I get, and I try to talk to people who can give me perspective on this. So that's what's going on here. Absolutely zero intention of disrespecting any of our staff members. And I had only one other thing I wanted to say. Another event this weekend, Sunday, September 17, from 2:30 to 4:30, is a March to End Fossil Fuels. This is in conjunction with a national march to end fossil fuels. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody who knows me that I consider this the top issue for the future of our children, grandchildren, and the world, in fact. We can't keep putting more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and the only way to avoid that is to stop using fossil fuels. So, 2:30 starting at the Visitor Center is a march to Goff Park to indicate support for all efforts to end fossil fuel use, at least in this country, as best we can. Thank you all. Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. So, Crystal. You know what, just want to tell you thank you for the work that you've done. Thank you for answering the phone, answering questions when you haven't been able to answer the phone because you're busy. Thank you for the quick calls that you return. Really appreciate it. I think you've done an outstanding job for us. I really appreciate it. And I wish you luck in your next endeavor. But, you know, in my big tummy somewhere, I get this feeling that you're not going to leave Grant County for long. You'll be back. You're going to miss us. So, you know, I just want to thank you for everything that you've done and wish you well and good luck in your next journey. Thank you. Appreciate it. You know, one thing that I do want to talk about is, you know, our commissioners, all 5 of us commissioners, that, you know, and it is sad that here soon in a couple of years, you know, 3 of our commissioners are going to be terming out and moving on. But one thing that I've really enjoyed about this commission, it's not that we agree on everything and get the unanimous votes on everything, but at the end of the day, you know, what I can see in all 5 of us is that as elected officials, we take into consideration our constituents and people in Grant County. You know, I don't understand sometimes how some, I guess you could say politicians or elected officials that just think one way, get anything done. But me, you know, I've learned a lot from the commissioners that we have up here. I've learned to be open-minded. I've learned that we need to try to do the best we can for Grant County, and it's all because of you, and I appreciate that. So I want to thank you. You know, I did, honestly, I'm good with it. PA, you know, it's just that there's people there that I think deserve better broadband, you know, and I don't think any of us are questioning that. I think we're just questioning how to do it and how to get it up there. So I don't want you to take offense or, Commissioner, I'm not talking about you or anything like that, but, you know, I appreciate all the discussions that we have, you know, and listening to you guys and hearing to you guys, that, you know, it raises questions also that maybe I didn't ask and that I should have asked. So I really want to thank you guys and thank our county staff, thank our county manager, our attorney also for keeping us on the straight and narrow there. So thank you. I appreciate that. So if that's it from the commissioners, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session in accordance with NMSA 1978 10-15-1 sub H7, sub H8, and sub H9.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Edwards. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Medina. Okay, do we have any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, are you all aware that you are entering executive session? Commissioner Edwards?
Yes.
Chairman Ponce?
Yes.
Commissioner Medina?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. We will be entering executive session. Do we, County Manager, I know I'm in, Mary Alice is looking at, do we anticipate any action?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. We don't anticipate any action. Thank you, guys.